Bhaskaran sir?
Yes, I am.
Bhaskaran sir, I'm audible, sir?
Yeah, I am audible.
I will pin your video, sir. You are visible, sir? I'm audible, sir? Just a minute, sir. I'm able to hear your voice, but your volume is less, sir. Could you increase the volume, sir?
The music, I'm hearing. Is it okay now?
I say, sir, we have passed the video. Yeah,
is it okay now?
Yeah, it's okay. Everything is clear, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you and welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, Vasugi, ma'am, could you unmute your volume? Vasugi, ma'am. Kindly accept the video option and also accept the audio option. Vasugi, ma'am, good morning.
Yes, good morning, ma'am.
Yeah, you are audible. I will pin your video. Please adjust your camera, ma'am. Little bit, yeah. Yes, nice, ma'am. Yes, it's okay. Enough, ma'am.
என்ன நேம்ல இருக்கு?
வாசுகி இருக்காங்க.
என்ன நேம்?
Ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Just to check your audio. It's okay, ma'am.
Shall I unmute?
Yeah, you can unmute now. Unmute and even you can stop your video. I will start later, ma'am.
Sir, good morning. This is Collins.
Good morning, Mr. Collins. How are you?
Sir, fine. Thank you.
Good going.
Yes, sir. I'll just checking the controls.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Already the resource person and the moderator, they are online.
I could see that. See that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think we can start on time. No issue.
Yes, sir. There are 6 more minutes.
Yes.
We'll just try to admit everybody once the panel is ready.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Very good. Good going. Yes.
Sir, accept, sir. Kadrisin, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. Very good morning.
Good morning to the technical.
Please accept the video option, sir.
Yes, ma. I have.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Can I talk with the technical team?
We are online, sir.
Yeah. Professor Collins and the
technical. Good morning. Very good morning, sir.
All the best. We really love your contribution. So, thank you. And Anna is Bhaskaran online. Anna?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll just unmute him. Sir, Dr. Bhaskaran, kindly unmute, sir. Unmute all. Thank you, sir. He's available.
Anna? Good morning. Anna, good morning. Anna, is everything okay with you now?
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
To the technical side, I know that both my mobile as well as, the phone is on. No worry of, any issues, from my side.
Thank you, man.
Okay.
Co-host. Sir,
இது எடுத்து வச்சுக்கிறேன் அரேஞ்ச்
Collins? David sir, good morning. Anthony sir, good morning. Professor Collins?
அப்பா யாரும் மைக்ரோஃபோன் குடிச்சுக்கிறேன் இல்லாட்டி
வேண்டாம் எடுத்துக்கிறேன்.
அப்பா மியூட் பண்ணுங்க.
இதை ஆன் பண்ணாதீங்க, உங்களோட ஆன் பண்ணாதீங்க.
இப்போ நீங்க அங்க ஆன் பண்ணி இந்த சத்தம்
screen
வந்துச்சுன்னா
வருது.
இங்க டிஸ்டர்பன்ஸ்
ரெண்டு
ஆகும்ல.
மைக்ரோஃபோன் இருக்க முடியாதுங்களா?
கதிர்
பாஸ்கரனா அண்ணா
ஆமா ஆமா ஆக்சுவலா மத்தவங்க வந்து அன்மியூட் பண்ணணும், மியூட் பண்ணிடணும்.
அங்கிள் அப்பா மைக்ரோஃபோன் இங்க தான் ஆன்ல இருக்கு.
அண்ணா அவங்களே பண்ணிடுவாங்க.
அதான் யாரு பேசுறாங்களோ அவங்க மட்டும் வந்து ஆக்சுவலா ஆன்ல இருந்து மத்தவங்க எல்லாம் வந்து மியூட் பண்ணியாச்சுன்னா ஓகே ஆயிடும்.
இங்கிட்டு வாங்க இங்க வந்து பேசுங்க அண்ணன்ட்ட. அண்ணன் இங்க ஸ்கிரீன்ல இருக்காங்க, இங்க வந்து பேசுங்க.
மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு அன்மியூட் பண்ணிக்கலாம்.
அவங்க மியூட்ல தான் சார்.
எப்படி கேட்குது?
இல்ல நான் இப்ப இங்க அட்மிட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன், அந்த நேம பார்த்து அட்மிட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன்னு பாருங்க. அவங்க சுமதி ஸ்ரீபதி வந்துட்டாங்களான்னு கேட்டுக்கங்க. சுமதி ஸ்ரீபதியில பாருங்க, பார்ட்டிசிபென்ட் பாருங்க. இல்ல கண்ணா, நான் மெதுவா தான் பேசுறேன் கண்ணா. Father, good morning.
Yes, Father.
சுமதி எடுக்குது வாய்ஸ் சார். நீங்க ஆன் பண்ணி வச்சிருக்கீங்களா? ஹலோ சார்.
Sir, good morning. Sir, Collins. Sir, Collins.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, Dr. Sumati Sripati, she is not in the list. She hasn't joined yet. Could you please ask her to join, sir, please?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll take care of it, because since you have given me co-host, I'll take care of it. Don't put it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, good morning, ma'am. You can start, ma'am.
Good morning, everybody. It's my great pleasure to welcome the gathering on the second day of the 5-day International Web Conference 2020. The old world order is vanishing and the contours of the new world order is before us challenging. Yet we are sailing through safe waters with the aid of technology and the strength of human warmth and partnership internationally. On behalf of the collaborative organizations, namely Tiruvallur University Vellore, Loyola College Chennai, Sacred Heart College Tirupattur, and Government Tirumagal Mills College Gudiyatham, I welcome you one and all for today's program. We humbly acknowledge the unequivocal commitment of the administrators of the 4 collaborative institutions, the invaluable support of the conveners, the resource persons of this program, the assistance of the technical team, the faculty members of the collaborative institutions, professors from India and abroad, research scholars, students, well-wishers, and guests who extend their support unconditionally. Through this conference, we would like to engage all of you in an open and constructive dialogue about language and literature in the current pandemic scenario. In an effort to close the gap in the social dissemination of knowledge and to facilitate the impact of technology 4.0 on education, this conference has been initiated. The concerns of interpreting, meaning making, and approach to teaching and learning, design and implementation of technology in education are being addressed in the conference. Once again, I welcome you one and all. Today, we have 3 plenary sessions. The first session will be addressed by Professor Dr. Bhaskaran, Professor of English, Gandhigram Rural Institute, Gandhigram, Tamil Nadu, on the topic Gender Controversy in Modern Indian Writing in English. The second session will be addressed by Dr. M. Maniruzman, Professor of English, Jahangir University, Dhaka, Bangladesh, on the topic App-Assisted Language Learning. The afternoon plenary session will be addressed by Dr. Yasmin Sultana Muchindu, Director of E-Learning, Rusungu University, Lusaka, Zambia, on the topic Learning to Learn. This first session is on gender controversy in modern Indian writing in English. My gender is not up for debate. I am a woman. Such gender identity, views, and controversies are raging, and any trans discourse on gender controversy that does not proceed from this initial assumption is termed as oppressive, regressive, and harmful. The macro level consequences of allowing hate speech to proliferate in genderphobia has led to open transphobia problems, and the so-called gender critical proclamations have started to amplify their voices. The epidemiological study of gender controversy shows the probability of proportional growth in the study of the topic. It is time for me now to introduce our venerable and honored speaker of today. This session will be addressed by Professor Dr. Bhaskaran, an eminent and erudite guru, scholar, a voracious reader, and a humanitarian. He is a member syndicate at Alagappa University, Karaikudi, former dean, former member of Board of Management, former member of Planning and Monitoring Board, School of English and Foreign Languages, Gandhigram Rural Institute, Gandhigram. To his credit, Professor has produced 60 PhD scholars and 7 PhD scholars are pursuing research under his guidance. Under his supervision, 82 MPhil scholars have completed research and 3 MPhil scholars are working currently. Brother has a highly commendable publication list comprising of 7 edited books, 14 chapters in books, 47 papers in edited volumes and proceedings, and 173 publications in international and national journals. He has completed 15 sponsored major projects in the last 5 years. Sir has attended 54 seminars and conferences in the last 5 years and has organized 6 international and national workshops and seminars. He has deliberated 98 invited talks in the short span of 5 years. In addition, as additional responsibility, Sir is the Member Senate of Alagappa University, Karaikudi, Member Finance Committee, Alagappa University, Karaikudi, Convener, DC School of Sanitation, OSD Publications, Gandhigram University, and Member Secretary of Magazine Committee, Gandhigram University, and has been honored with 2 academic awards. Now, I take this opportunity to invite Professor Bhaskaran, Professor of English, Gandhigram Rural Institute, Gandhigram, Tamil Nadu, to instill insights into the topic, gender controversy in modern Indian writing in English. Anna?
Yes. An excellent morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure coming over this technology, using this technology and reaching the people and the people whom I know and the people I am yet to start, my relationship, with them. I'm very clear and I'm confident because all these institutions collaborated today in making this successful, this webinar successful. All these institutions somehow that I have connections either directly or indirectly. So for example, Sacred Art College, where my teacher started his innings, Professor M.A.J. Raju. I'm just reminded, of that matter, only day before yesterday. And he actually started his career there at the age of, 18 and a half, straight from Loyola College. So that, that you can see the connections, that indirect connections, that I have, with collaborative institutions. And Gudiyatham, the Government Arts College, where my child who introduced me, today morning, Vasugi is working. And are better off. Kadresan, is heading the department, there at Rural University. So I'm very happy, and at the same time, that I'm very, very easy going, that this session, would be. The topic, today I assigned, is I'm given, is gender controversy. And in Indian writing in English, which is my cup of tea. So almost my children. The guide now, and they are my guides. And Vasugi and Kadresan, examples. Right. That administrative side people, I should thank, that I have been, given this chance. So, father there at Sacred Art College, and I'm lucky in a way that I heard my research output there at St. Joseph's College, where I happened to meet Professor Father Peter and Father Xavier Alphonse, Father Anand, and all those people that they also contributed a lot in my growth. I'm very happy about it, and I thank them at this juncture, right? See, today we are in a position, right? I can say, that we are in a position. Why? Because you might have read, day before yesterday, Hindu review paper, where you come across, a nation celebrity now. Nation celebrity, I can say, right? A professor, from JNU got appointed, there at Jharkhand University, Jharkhand, there in the state, in the university as Vice Chancellor, Professor Miss. And she is a tribal, and she got, the experience, of this topic, today, gender discrimination, as such. See, the title, is actually, that I got, some sort of, inspiration, from that. See, my selection, she said, that in the interview, 60 minutes interview, that we are getting, from the Hindu supplements, today, right? that my selection should not be viewed from a Ghetto-Asian, perspective. And she was not allowed to, have her own choice. And she was actually, she was very much interested in doing, her studies in English medium schools, but she was not allowed. Rather, she was given, the chance of reading, the text, everything in Hindi. And her interest, was on mathematics. And she being, the tribal, she was discouraged. She was discouraged by non-tribal teachers. Okay, and that was very open, in her interview, she said. She was not, actually, encouraged, in any form, right? And what she did, she changed her academic domain, right? She came to down south and had her early education, there, college education there at Bangalore. And from there, she moved to Chennai, where in Women's Christian College, she had her PG. And after that, she joined there, in MCC. And from there, she moved as a teacher there in, at Madurai, where, I belong now. Madurai Kamaraj University, she started her career and she moved to JNU, right? And now she is, Vice Chancellor there in Jharkhand University, right? State University. See that, this is the way, that women are actually, traveling. Even after, that of decades, that academicians, we academicians, discuss much about, this gender, the controversies, the discrimination, and the balance, is yet to reach, right? And it is not, the question of who is superior and who is inferior. No. This is just, the day, and everyone, comes alive. And then, blessed, that to see and enjoy, the day and night. And such a situation, that we have, this sort of imbalances, I can say, right? Where it started, that if you go back, to the history, right? Decades, of history, right? You go back, you travel back, right from, the girl child's birth. People have given, the child, rosy flower, painted frogs, to save their prestige and hold their control on you. So this is actually, a poetic line. That too on one condition, learn only that these people who teach, speak what they want you to speak. See that, that education they had, is entirely different, right? The boys weren't taught. Boys weren't taught, that. Perhaps, that we think, that women were educated more. Yes, that's true, but what type of education, right? Only theirs is the choice, not what you like. You may exist. This you, stands referring to, the girl child. You may exist if, then, only then you shall get the promise of safety. See that? Safety, is confirmed, Only, you accept, that education. How, they were taught. Right from, the child's birth, the girl child's birth. We are telling, that now it is not happening, right? No, even now, it is going on, right? Even now it is going on. See that Vice Chancellor, that Jharkhand, what actually, that don't look at me, with a ghetto, right? Right. My appointment, is something, entirely different. I want to show, that society, right? I don't have anything, that in mind, of supporting or biased, or such, that she is very open, very frank, like. And the lines, that continue. Only then you shall get the promise of safety. Within the Lakshman record drawn by them, with the sound of the clock kept by them, and by their winding up, you have to live. You have to live, the life, that is very, very important, right? Now, getting into 1890s, right? You know that Ibsen has written, a play, Hedda Gabler, right? So Hedda is engaged in a private conversation, right, with a friend from her past. So Elliot Lovag, they are discussing why Hedda acted as his confessor. and listen to the tales of his youthful debaucheries. She tells him, so this I'm quoting, do you find it so very surprising that a young girl, if there is no chance of anyone knowing, that she would like some glimpse of a world that she is forbidden to know anything about? So in Lobach, as Lobach noted this, Hedda has, a thirst for life. Everyone, even today, women, they have, a thirst for life. But Hedda can never satisfy her longing. Confined by her status as a gentle, Gentel, right? Woman in the 1890s. So now we are in 2020, 130 years, ago. So a woman in 1880s, Ibsen's tragic heroine finds herself married to a man she doesn't love. Kamaladas also experienced. And you have, yes, I have, the list of people, which come, late. So when her calculated machinations to control another person's destiny are thwarted, Hedda's world gets even smaller, right? You plan something and the plan is thwarted, you become, small, right? The world, of Hedda becomes, smaller, and she sees that her life will have no meaningful accomplishments. Faced with the future that will include a baby, Hedda decides to be quiet, silenced, right? So many of women, are silenced. And she takes her own life. On the surface, this is merely a story about the life of an unhappy woman. She lived and died in the theoretical sense, and that's all. However, in a broader view, Gabler addresses the subject of gender roles in society and how those roles affect the lives and the actions of both men and women, right? It's not, that she alone, affected. And in a society, that where men were also, affected because she was affected. She is actually, representing, that, yes, a micro level, right? So long before gender roles became, the subject of scientific inquiry, Ibsen explored the impact of society's views about gender. There through the drama, had a Gabler. And what is this gender? Maybe, with small introduction, right? Until the 1960s, the term gender was often used to refer to masculine and feminine words. In the later years, feminists used the term to distinguish biological differences from social and psychological ones. So gender theory, was developed in the academy during the 70s, 1970s and 80s as a set of ideas guiding historical and other scholarship in the West. Essentially, this theory proposed looking at masculinity and femininity as sets of mutually created characteristics, shaping the lives of men and women. Right? Now, from anthropological perception, so anthropology produced some of the first influential theories using the term gender when it began discussing gender roles. So American cultural anthropologist Margaret Mead described many variations in men's and women's tasks and sexual roles in her best-selling studies. Example, Coming of Age in Samoa, opening discussions on fixed behaviors of men and women and to see stereotypes as contingent rather than determined by nature. So Simone de Beauvoir, whose fine expression, right? One is not born and one is made a woman, right? In the second six. Judith Butler, gendered behavior is an act of sorts, which is a performance, according to Butler. One that is imposed upon us by normative heterosexuality. Actually, this is available in Performative Acts and Gender Constitution, published in the year 1990. Okay, that we are getting into, I mean, small concepts, right? Not that, I'm going to make, the big one. But it is so easy, to understand what actually it is. See, women supposedly, conserve energy, right? Women supposedly conserve energy, and this makes them passive, conservative, sluggish, stable, and uninterested in politics. But today, women are getting into that. That is a different story. But who is acting behind, that question also comes. See, when you see, people are coming, that women are coming up, you also raise, some, looking at the hidden agendas, right? I don't want to get into that, that serious, but you'll have to understand, this bit, so that, that you can apply on select stories and, dramas and all such, that which we discuss in a bit later. So women, such, conserve energy, and then they makes them, right, passive, conservative, sluggish, stable, and uninterested in politics. Whereas in men, they expend their surplus energy, and this makes them eager, energetic, and passionate. So these biological facts, were used to justify argument of withholding the political rights of women. See, I'm talking about, biological determinism, right? So biological determinism or biologism or biodeterminism. The idea that most human characteristics, physical and mental, both, are determined at conception by hereditary / biological factors. Now, biological determinism and gender terminology, that. So, politically effective feminist theory requires ways to elucidate how and why patriarchy damages women. You know that. You might have read. And to articulate and defend feminism's critical claims in order to justify, this phrase is, very, very important for our application in the Indian context. Both in, the plays, that Mahesh Ratani's Tara and Mageshwata Devi's short stories. So why I'm choosing, that I'll tell you, right? See, translations, or taking, the concepts and contents, discussed in regional level to the global situation. And these texts, translated texts or, adding energy, to the global text, the English text. Hope you understand, right? The regional contribution, as far as, the Indian context, you can see this concept, discussed, more in the regional writings. Bama, for example, from Tamil, right? And in Malayalam, that you have, Salil. And likewise, that you have an ambition, Kaveri, an ambition, started writing in Kannada, first. Later came to, writing in English. See, the phrase, I told you, it's positive vision of equitable and sustaining human relationship. This is the justification, is correct. So, in response to biologically deterministic accounts that took boldly anatomy to determine all behavioral, psychological, and socio-political futures of women, feminists, during 1960s and 70s began using woman differently, not as a sex term, but as a gender term. You do find, differences in both these terms, right? That is something, different. Okay. So the first change, that came, right, during 1960s and 70s, and women weren't, perceived, that looked upon, as a sex term, but as a gender term, right? So being a woman or a man was no longer considered to depend on the kind of anatomy one has, but on particular social and cultural factors, like one's social position, or the amount of masculinity and femininity one exhibits. So based on that, that you decide, okay. So the main feminist motivation for making the distinction was to counter biological determinism. So Kate Millett, for example, so takes culturally based gender differences to result from differential treatment. For Millett, gender is the sum total of the parents. See that? This is very, very important. Gender is the sum total of the parents, the peers, and the culture's notions of what is appropriate to each gender by way of temperament, character, interest, status, worth, gesture, and expression. This is actually, from sexual politics. Get minute. And for Butler, gender shapes how we understand sex. So how we understand gender shapes how we understand sex. This is why Butler. Now, when you go beyond, gender, Simone de Beauvoir, right? Simone de Beauvoir famously claimed that one is not born, but rather becomes a woman, right? And that social discrimination produces a woman, produces in women, moral and intellectual effects so profound that they appear to be caused by nature. So there is a slogan, right? Gender is the social interpretation of sex. Captures, this view, very, very clearly. Gender is, thought to be alterable by political and social reform that would ultimately bring an end to women's subordination. So this is very, very important. Gender is thought to be alterable by political and social reform. When that was not in function, the Vice Chancellor of, Jharkhand University, has taken the decision of, moving to South. The native state, or northern states, that weren't ready to offer, any space. She has chosen, the space down south, where very comfortable, that women are. Right. That's why, the change. See, there is a connection, right? You can think about it, right? Gender is thought to be alterable by political and social reform that would ultimately bring an end to women's subordination. So that may not be available, there in the north as a result, right? It is not. Sometimes the distinction is said to reflect and replicate androcentric oppositions, that have been used to justify women's oppression, such as mind and body, culture and nature, and reason and emotion. So one term, that you can take, one term is always superior to the other, right? That is natural, quite natural. And this is very important. And the devalued term, usually associated with women. Whoever, is in a losing stage, losing side, whatever, the term, term or whoever it is. The femininity, comes. So this is, that devalued term is usually associated with women, right? This is by Lloyd, The Man of Reason, published in the year, 1993. So the opposition between mind and the body is said to map onto other distinctions too, like those of reason and emotion, culture and nature, and rational and irrational. So in analyzing, oppression and rights, the post-20th century usage of oppression, post-20th century usage of oppression refers to unjust violence. So what is it? Unjust violence. And the economic, social, political, and psychological injustices suffered by a wide variety of social groups. I mean, normally, of women, right? Mostly of women. Feminist theories and queer theories, have also contested the naturalization of sexuality, whether characterized as an instinctual urge, a species imperative, the means of provocation, a site of pleasure and desire, or a primitive elemental force. Sexuality, has been enmeshed in intricate systems of social control. This is by Rubin, The Sexual Dilemma, 1993. So gender is both the effect of compulsory heterosexuality and a powerful contributor to belief in a natural heterosexual world and the heterosexual body experience as natural fact. Now we are getting into our own zone, that is in Indian writing in English. So women's bodies, right, as a female body is the locus for reproduction. It becomes a site of immense concern to the male patriarch. So women's bodies are considered by men as the repository of men's honor. Power rape, the raping of women to demonstrate and defeat rival men in patriarchal societies is quite common in many parts of India and other parts of the world. Doesn't mean, it doesn't exist, outside India. No, it is there. So the rape of a woman is akin to the rape of community to which she belongs. See that? This is very, very important, right? The text, that I have taken, for today's discussion, come close to this, concept, a discussion or this quotation, like. So I have given, a small title for Mageshwata Devi's short stories. So tortured and exploited bodies of marginalized women. This is a discussion, that so that, you can narrow down, things. You can understand, in a better way, this concept. So described as a political anthropologist for her keen ethnographic observation, Mageshwata Devi captures an ethnographic realism in her writing. It added, much significance and much, weightage, to the global situation, right? That's why. So Devi locates these gender violations in the rural areas. You don't get, any scene, unless, these sort of people, Devi, like people, that they take, that things in their hands and then expose, to the others. So Devi locates these gender violations in the rural areas where marginalized women struggle daily to ward off physical thirst and hunger and male predatory advances against them and their children. In her short stories, as Mary Capelli states, Devi provides an ethnographic venue for examining how power relations make female body the historical background. Female body becomes, the historical background of deeper socioeconomic and political issues. It is just like, a war-like situation, right? So women characters who are all at the cusp of neoliberalism show us how capitalist forces have penetrated female reproductive spaces disposing them to sexualized and commodified sides of exploitive, fluctuating ideological values. That this is actually, that very, very crucial situation, right? There are spaces, that are taken in their own hands, that men, capitalized forces, that they take, disposing them, right? Disposing them, as very, very sorry sites, SITES, exploitation, right? So in the short narrative, Giribala, where Devi's protagonist Grace only 14 years of age when she is married off to an abusive Archan and indoctrinated into a patriarchal dictum. A quote, a daughter born to husband or death. So both are, danger zones. Right? A daughter born to husband or death. She is already gone. So this is from a Satswari Giribala title. And a 14-year-old girl, right? She chooses to preclude her reproductive system from any further patriarchal control in a society where, I quote again, having a daughter only means having to raise a slave for others. So the sexual commodification of young female beings comes to full fruition when Greece's husband, Akchan, marries off his scarred 12-year-old daughter for 400 rupees in cash. Well, Greece's mother is away. Mother is away. So opposition comes. When they go out, that business, dealt. Business was, planned. So Greece directly subverts her husband's domination over her reproductive organs and contests the transformation. See that? This is actually, that they are taking, something in their hands and try to safeguard, which a futuristic thinking, that is, with the futuristic thinking. Contest the transformation of her daughters into surplus labor to feed male sexual appetites. See, Achan is, economic motives, right? He says, husband says, foolish woman, you shouldn't have done that operation. The more daughters we have, the more money we can have. So this is actually treated as, economic motives of her husband. Raise the economy, right? Girl children are sold. Still, that's why, I told you in the beginning, the balance is, yet to reach, that is equality. Women, still, there, in remote northern states. Another story, Dolly, Devi adds another layer of caste privilege into the construction of patriarchal rape in women's livelihoods or under siege. So Dolly, the title, story titles, the protagonist's name is also like, so Dolly, a young untouchable Dusard bird, is impregnated by an upper caste Brahmin and left to fend for herself. The Misra landowners are accustomed to treating girls, as chattel, right? She resigns, herself to her fate as, I quote, all the Misra men do that, and there is not a thing that the Doli of the world can do to stop it. When she takes up prostitution as her profession to support her son, a result of rape. So the response she gets from her rapist is, why didn't you kill yourself? At one stage, they involve in such, activity. And at the other side, that they suggest, They suggest things. So the question reflects, why didn't you kill yourself? Reflects the patriarchal ideology, which reinforces the victimization of women, and what Maria Mais, refers to as the ideology of the eternal victim, the ideology of self-sacrifice. In another story, Devi recognizes the commodification of tribal woman's body. Mageshwara Devi explores how natural aboriginal breasts become an object of study and fetish fascination by media and anthropologists. Now, I'm taking, the Northeastern writer, for, telling, or deliberating, this issue, So one Emsula's house, these skills called home. The title, that I have given for this zone is, subjugation of women in war zones. The title of the collection of stories again. These skills called home, right? Challenges the so-called normative crimes committed by the army against the people of Nagaland in the garb of maintaining law and order in the state. So the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, right? AFSPA. So the Armed Forces Special Powers Act is one of the dangerous weapons of the state that has created uncountable scrutinized zones, physical violence, forced arrest, custodial rape, torture, and sexual assault become a way of official functioning in states under this AFSPA, Armed Force Special Powers Act. This collection of short stories, which is subtitled now as Stories from a War Zone, that was published in the year 2006, establishes how violence against women in Nagaland and by extension Northeastern India is not simply an offshoot of militancy and militarization, but is deeply embroiled in and betrays the gendered context of the nation state. So where actually it is happening and how, these issues, are taken to the knowledge of the audience, right? So it highlights the patriarchal basis inherent in the conception and construction of official reports. See, right? You don't find, that authentic matters, there in the reports, political processes, and commentaries, which aggravate the gendered context of women's lives in right ways. Earlier, it was actually discussed. Reports and records and other, commentaries. But now things are, getting changed. Bharati Arora claims, that deploys her artistic lens to record an alternative narrative of the nation, which has been overlooked and smothered by dominant historiographies. One of the major thrusts of the Northeastern writers has been to contest the stereotypical images of Northeastern India as either a zone of interaction amongst varied tribes, travelers, and natural resources, or a hotbed of insurgent or terror activities. So the story lasts long, I'm taking one story. It's a testimony to an unending series of rape and torture that women are subjected to by the state machinery during the troubled moments of heightened political rebellion. So based on the Oinam, incident, actually, that every story, is carrying, a source. Out of that source, that the creative artist makes, the message. the message, to the others. Right. So the last song exposes how sexual violence, is the worst form of retributive action undertaken by the uniformed, uniformed representatives to shame and emasculate communities. So in that story, Apanyo was raped, and her rape and her mother, that is, and her mother's rape also highlights how lawlessness has become a rule in Nagaland, and poor people's climb to territory, liberty, and order is rendered suspect. So Apanyo's, determination to sing in the face of violence challenges the state's attempt to gag the voice of poor and marginalized sections of the society. The rape cases were filed, yes, in these regions, and which are all, revealing how women's everyday mobility, choice of work, employment activities inside and outside home have been dominated by an actual fear of rape. The women aren't, free to move. They aren't able to. They are not able to move, freely out. They always have, a fear of rape, and that too from armed forces and law enforcement structures. This is what actually, they narrated, there in the story, the long song. Another story is, the Jungle Major, where Bharati Arora states that, a critic states that Catalia plays the part of a beautiful woman, saving not only, her husband, but the entire village. So a woman becomes, a savior, a lady, that becomes Catalia. In fact, a worse representation of, Catalia successfully breaks, the stereotype of women as victims. Now it is not a victim, right, in this case. A strategizing and decision-making capacity, signed the most in this incident, right? So Naga woman, from the start of the conflict, during 1950s to now, the time of, ceasefire, use their bodies as human seals. They use their bodies, women, they use their bodies as the seals, right? To prevent violent clashes between the state forces and the armed cadres of the national self-determination movement. This is very, very, actually, that they are becoming, the saviors I told, now, they are the protectors. They try to avoid, the clash between, these two things, the state forces and the armed cadres, They become, they stand in between, these people, right? Now, life writing and gender, that is. This is actually, the third category, that I am going to discuss, that is autobiography. Life writing and gender. So, autobiography, as a genre of writing, has formed an important site of feminist engagement with dominant theories of the self. So you do have, something autoethnography, which is a genre of writing that links the personal to the cultural, positioning the self within the social context. Autoethnography. This is to confront, dominant forms of representation and power in an attempt to reclaim representational spaces that marginalize individuals and others. These individuals are no one else than, again, women. One story, that I am taking, it is not a story, it is a happening, real happening. It has actually taken place in a sex worker turned, creative artist. In Malayalam, it is, the title is, Uru Limgika Tolilaliyoda Atma Kada. So that is translated into autobiography of a sex worker This particular novel reveals the exclusions of dominant, home-centered, self-controlled, feminine ideal and challenges the prostitute stereotypes. So in her very title, Jamila is the creator. The autobiography writer. Okay, Jamila. In her very title, she calls herself a sex worker, claiming the dignity of Tolil, right? Tolil is labor, profession, right? Full name is Nalini Jamila, faces society's moral and cultural problems in her attempt to unravel the lives of a marginalized section, the community of sex workers in India. Actually, her claim, there in the novel is, in Kerala, the sex workers, do not have a space like, the spaces there in Mumbai, Calcutta, Chennai, and other big cities, cosmopolitan cities. That is actually, the claim, right? So Jamila forces us to recognize that most people and the torture, that she has undergone, right? She is highly critical of, the Kerala men. And they used to go, the neighboring states, that is for the thirst. And Jamila, forces us to recognize that most people, including her clients, tend to observe, silence about sexuality and sex workers, as if, they were unaware of the reality. See, they are part of it. They are actually, the clients. But when they are asked, about it, they keep silence, right? And Jamila, questions the rights of society to abuse, a class of workers and argues for the rights of all human beings to live in this world. So I quote, "The life of a sex worker is not a toy." This is actually from the autobiography of the sexual worker. "No difference is there between the lives of sex workers and others, though the society constitutes such a ridiculous concept. Can anybody say we are not human beings? Can anybody deny our right to live?" Now, as a modern society, so that actually, I quoted, now as a modern society, India has adapted a morality based on the role of pseudo concepts. In your review, Vineet states, author, Jamil, accepts two challenges, the pseudo-morality, and she proclaims that there is no difference between sex work and other professions. Now the purpose is, none can represent our life better than us. And if someone attempts to do so, then what will be our rule? Jamila, writes. So it is just like, the claim of, a Dalit tribe. That is true. That is true. We should all agree that when they speak, that it comes, that effective, and it is authentic. Yes. Just like, the sex worker, is talking about her own experience and her own, position and the space and the demand and the need and the right. Right. These are all, that voice. Earlier, they were silenced. Now the silence, is something, broken, that people are coming out. They are attaining, the positions, just like the Vice Chancellor, right? Jharkhand, I told you, I began, my session, right? And you have, another significant one, I told you, that often heard is, Bama's voice, Karku and Sangati, right? So I don't want to land, there, much because, point of time. I'm sitting, and then going to Magesh Dattani, that is disability and gender. That is the fourth subtitle, that I'm having, right, in mind. To discuss, this concept, more. Yeah, and it comes from, a man, right, who is claiming, himself, the other, that is different, right, Magesh Dattani, right. And Dattani, created, actually, a space. We all know that, that still now, that we have shy of, talking about lesbian and homosexuals positioning, right? We are a bit shy about it. But when he actually talked about this or staged these people on stage, right? Lot of criticism came, and now he is successful. And people like Chetan Bhagat, they start about writing the happenings of BPOs, that is call centers, and girl children's life day in call centers during the night shift. Find that they're raising economy at the same time that the other difficulties that they are encountering, right? And you cannot discuss that open. People are slowly coming up, and they are trying to reach the balance that I told in the beginning, right? So we don't want freaks, right? Edmund Mallet states that Magesh Dattani's dramatic works are celebrated for highlighting invisible issues, right? Such as discussions on homosexualism and gender-based oppression. Same way, right? The sex worker, right? And the writer turned writer who humbly, climbed towards the end, right? Unless we speak, who else? And if someone else speaks, what will be our role here? Dattani, says, only, the gays and lesbians, they speak the authentic. Their voice, are something, authentic voices, right? So Dattani explains, you can talk about feminism, but you cannot talk about gay issues because that is not Indian. See that? This is in an interview, right? That doesn't happen here. That doesn't happen here. No, that is invisible. Those were invisible those days. So that is confrontational, even if it is Indian. Dattani in Invisible Issues, 1997, this is. So in the drama published in the year 1990, Tara, Dattani introduces themes of gender and patriarchy through another under-discussed, under-theorized issue, disability. In Tara, he accomplishes this goal through the attention-getting device of conjoined twin protagonists. The play's treatment of this unusual form of physical difference, while positing some qualified arguments against sexism, right? So throughout the play, Dattani emphasizes how life after separation doesn't impact Chandan and Tara equally. So the separation, the operation, is made, and whose life is actually, seriously taken, ignoring, the other. I told you in the beginning, right? When terms or concepts are taken for discussion, one is losing, that is for women, right? I told you in the beginning, you remember, right? The same way, right? Here, Chandan and then Tara. She is the one, Tara is the one who suffers more physically. So the pain is for more, the pain is extended more for Tara and not to Chandan. Chandan's condition, continually improves. Tara suffers from specific impairments, disability, and general stigmatization, right? Her tormentors have their own embarrassing body related deficiencies, suggesting that everyone, at least every woman in the play, has some sort of imperfection or insecurity. Both are, both terms are, perfect, and they shoot to that, position, right? So the world will tolerate you. The mother Bharati, tells her son Chandan, but not her. Oh, the pain she is going to feel when she sees herself at 18 or 20. 30 is unthinkable. So pain in any age is a pain. Pain in any age is a pain. So Tara has undergone, a pain because of, the gender, right? And discrimination, taken place. So Bharati's specific concern has to do with Tara's future prospects as a wife and mother. So a mother is actually shouldering, the responsibility to other same gender, right? Particularly since her own wealthy father has left his fortune to Chandalan. Fortune to Chandan and the name and other things, Tara. So in the abnormal lectures, Foucault points specifically to conjoined twins as an example of the so-called monstrosites, like intersex children, conjoined twins, pose fundamental questions about how the human was meant to be understood. And Dattani has stated that his script is about the male denying the female and how the cultural construct of gender favors the male. Now you can come to a conclusion that gender is actually constructed. And Dattani is apt saying about the male denying the female and how the cultural construct of gender favors the male. It is a cultural construction. He argues that these were concerns, Tara concerns, coming to terms with oneself in terms of the feminine in the self. So what is femininity, masculinity there in a character, right? So Magesh Dattani, Invisible is used again, 1997. So Dattani is, Bharati, of course, employs dangerous thinking of her own, assuming that one useful, able male body would be better than a useful, able female. So Bharati, that employs, dangerous thinking of her own. That is a dangerous thinking, right? It is one useful, able male body would be better than a useful, able female. So it all, constructed, culturally constructed. So questions of gender difference and discrimination are important. And Dattani has, throughout his career, fashioned important interventions in discussions of sex and sexuality. This text not only pushes ethical and medical discussion about disability and gender, but also reifies the assumption that able bodies are preferable bodies, that exceptional or monstrous individuals must be aligned with societal norms. So what is able and what is not? The able female body, right, is preferable, right, than the able female body. So there are graphic narratives also. In which, you can understand, so many things. So for example, Kari is, a story by Patil, which says about, the women, living together, Kari and Ruth. So Kari actually, was humiliated, towards the end, upon coming out of that system, right, that living together, due to some misunderstanding, right. So coming out of that situation and then facing, something, the danger. So graphic narratives, also there. So on Ambedkar, that is something very interesting. That is about, Vimayana. Vimayana is very interesting, that is graphic narratives where we do have images and then discussions, that conversation like. It is easy to understand, it is readable also. So in a novel, entire novel, that is in a conventional novel, you read full of words, right? But whereas in graphic components, that you see, the difference. So now Anand's Vimayana is something like where you come across, women and the gender issues. Also, in Kari, all these are, translations in Vagai, right? Translations. They are translated. So translations, adding, huge amount of, support to the global situation, on gender. And that would certainly, make the balance, very smooth. You are all awaiting. The controversy, is still going on. But very soon, that there is a possibility of, that, together, coming together, right? The balance, is not far, that is. The day is, coming. So thank you so much, for the organizers for giving me a nice opportunity of sharing my views on the gender controversy, and that is available there in Indian writing in English, and it is vast. Maybe, the topic, 4 topics, that I discuss, you can take for, this research, and the graphic narratives, that are there, and that can be taken for a very serious research. That is also, a good beginning. One more, female genital mutilation, right? So that is also, happening in India. So we thought, that is happening there in China, but it is coming now. It is available there in India for Indian situation. So that is also a good zone, and people are working. My own scholar children are working. That's why I told in the beginning, I am happy to travel my scholar children. Thank you. Have a day.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The session is over, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
I told you,
Sige,
thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you,
Vasu,
Na.
ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you.
Here are a few questions.
Okay.
And the first question is, how far is Western feministic theories pragmatic in the Indian context?
So Western theories, that can be taken, for primary discussion, right? So ours is, entirely different, when you look at the West, that what is happening there, may not be available here, that is. So here also, that the torture is there and humiliation, is there. But ours is, something, that can be handled, by our own methods, right? So our own methods, doesn't mean, that we'll have to give up, right? Doesn't mean. Maybe, that we can consider, the Western theoretical components, that not that, strong, right? But minimum level, that we can take and then we can discuss, because our writers, that are, they are not taking, that issues, that very open and then very, very narrow, like. Not every writer is like, the Kerala, the sex worker turned, autobiographical writer. No, not every writer, is like C. But there are writers, that who are making, steps, conveying, the message. But our own methods, are also there. Right? Can be, that West can be, taken, a bit, and then we can alter and we can change, the mode of, applying, those theoretical components, in our text. So what would happen to our Indianized situation? That question, comes. That question comes. Maybe if you have, a better answer, that you can also say.
There is another question.
Okay.
Now, in the present days, we see there is much violence and injustice against women. And it is on the rise. Since you said there is the influence of social and political forces in the discrimination of women,
we'll have to create,
can
something more.
Can we find a solution for this? That is the question.
We'll have to create, more, legal and personal and every individuals, that every individual should come up, with a method of, controlling, the spread, much violence against, women, and unless, the individuals, change, right? There are lots of, legal support, for this, that we have, till now, that we have cyber related, crime protection, women-centric, crime protection. And individually, that we have evolved, so many things. But even then, it is in the rise, that we'll have to think of, the safety measures, with people. Not only, the legal, support. We'll have to think of the force protection, like the North Indian writer, when you read the Northeast writers, text, you can understand, right? They come in between, the armed forces and the fighters, there, right? So they come in between to protect life. So such a situation should arise, and that is the prayer of everyone. Violence, is going on, still. Doesn't mean, that I am saying, that there is no violence. No, it is going. It is going every day. That you come across, the papers. See that, the Vice Chancellor, openly said, that don't apply, anything, the ghetto related, perception, on my appointment. But this is actually, the real position, right? Irrespective of, the women, placing, themselves in different roles, right? The danger is also there. Even now, after getting into 21st century, that is seriously going on, when we'll have to take, serious, steps, to control it, right?
And then there is another question from Professor Dwarakanath.
Yeah.
Sir wants to know if there is a difference in the reference of maternal aspects in Western literature in opposition to Indian literature.
There's a huge difference, right? How we perceive, our things, right? At home, that, see, with limited space, in a home, how actually, that we are giving, response and respect to the other, which you cannot find, there in Western situation, right? So you cannot simply, cut it. The age of 6 or 7 or 8, that they become, that independent, and still, at this age, I am bound. Yes. Everyone, here, there is a difference, right? There is a difference between, the West and the East, and particularly, the Indian context. But even then, in such a situation as in the previous question, is something rising, violence, is something more. How come, that is happening, right? And there is a wide gap, within us, right? When you compare, the northern situation with that of, as, the southern part, there is a difference. And within the regions, in Tamil Nadu, that you have difference. At home and someone, far away, right, from our space. The difference, is always there. The difference, is always there. It is not, that you should take, the West and then look at, the East, to find, the differences. No. It is simply available, even within kilometers or maybe, that meters. The difference, is there. If the differences are actually, removed or cut off, things will be all right, that we hope, we believe. And we all, yearn for it, and it is a prayer, that this shouldn't, occur. The differences, shouldn't occur, in a family or in a society or, something, a region or state or something, in a nation or in the entire globe. That is actually the yearning of the day, right?
I think it is, thank you, Anna. I think it is time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you again, for the organizers, for the administrators, and all the institutions, who are all actually behind the scene. Maybe, that I am not aware of the names of the people, standing at the back of, this, screen or in front of, this mobile and technology. But it is my duty, to thank everyone. I told you in the beginning, that I'm well connected, with Sacred Heart, Loyola, and the Government Arts College and Rural University. Thank you so much. Thank you for the patience. You all listen to me and my views. Maybe, you can alter and you can make, the wonders in the future, the years to come. Good luck to everyone. My wishes and prayers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bhaskaran, sir.
It is time for me to propose a formal vote of thanks. Gratitude is the sense of the heart. On behalf of the collaborative organizations, I thank my mentor, guide, and well-wisher, Professor Dr. Bhaskaran, for his percipient lecture on gender controversy in modern Indian writing in English. Thank you, Anna, for reiterating that women are the conservers of energy and also trying to imprint that women have been silenced by social and political constraints. You have given an insight into the forces of gender discrimination from literature, and today we have had an exposure of your voracious reading from various literary texts. Thank you for giving us a divergent perspective on gender controversy. It was
One single
enlightening
second.
and a concrete voice of dynamic presentation. Thank you, Anna, for honoring us with your
Only one,
immense
that I
support.
shouldn't forget, thanking, Professor Smati, again, my scholar child. Thank you so much, Professor Smati, for making this possible. Who is behind,
Thank you, Anna, for honoring us with your immense support and brotherhood. Thank you, the participants. Now, before I close, here are a few instructions for the participants. Now, participants, please make note that the Zoom platform could accommodate only a maximum of 100 participants, and it is served on the basis of first come, first serve. So those who join late, please ensure that you get connected to the YouTube live channel. We will be happy to accommodate any number of participants in the YouTube. And the next instruction for the paper presenters, those who attend the afternoon plenary session, you have the liberty to leave the plenary session by 2:55 and join the paper presentation sessions. If you are willing, you can even quit the Zoom platform or YouTube platform to join your respective chat rooms. Now, the next instruction is that those who try to enter into the paper presentation rooms, please be patient enough to rejoin and please wait, because all of you who are waiting outside will be accommodated inside the presentation rooms. And regarding the most vital aspect, the feedback link form, please don't panic if you don't get the link. We will upload the link both in the YouTube channel, in the Zoom channel, and in the Telegram group. And we will also give you ample time to fill in the feedback form and submit it to us. And another kind information to be shared, please make note that we have stopped accepting papers for submission and presentation. However, we do accept registration. Thank you. Now it is time for me to hand over the session to Professor N. Aruldas, Department of English, Sacred Heart College, Tirupattur. Over to you, Professor N. Aruldas.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for having wonderfully moderated the first session. Distinguished organizers, Dr. K. Kadireshan, Dr. K.S. Anthony Swami, Dr. Vasugi, and Reverend Dr. K.A. Maria Arukiraj, most esteemed resource person, Dr. Maniruzaman, and the enthusiastic participants. Good morning. I am Arul Das, Associate Professor and Head, Department of English, Aided Division. I am immensely pleased, and it offers me a singular pride to be the moderator of the second session on the second day. Today, in this session, we are going to listen about apps-assisted language learning. With the advent of highly developed technology, internet tools have been incorporated into educational settings. We need to conform to the rapid development to supplement traditional language classroom learning and teaching. Earlier, computer-assisted language learning has had a great impact on language classrooms. Now, a new concept called MAL, Mobile Assisted Language Learning, has been increasingly capturing attention. Some studies have even concluded that readers prefer short lessons on mobile phone to those on computers. There are several apps like Duolingo, Buzu, Babbel, Rosetta Stone, Chinese Skill, in 24 hours, Lingro, Linguist, Mango, and the list goes on. All these apps assist the learners as well as the teachers to teach and learn alphabet, vocabulary, grammar, and in short language. In this connection, today, we have a resource person who will delve deep into the apps assisted language learning. He is none other than Dr. M. Maniruzaman. He is currently a professor in the Department of English at Jahangir Nagar University, Bangladesh. He is IELTS speaking examiner, IDP Bangladesh. He obtained his master's degree in English language and PhD in applied linguistics and ELT from the University of Dhaka. He completed e-teacher methodology for TESOL at the University of Maryland, BC. He is an e-teacher assessment at the University of Oregon, an e-teacher educational technology at Iowa University. He also attended PDW 2013 at the University of Oregon, USA. He has 27 years of teaching and research experience and has 100 plus publications, including research papers, translations, book reviews, and books. His core interests include TESOL methodology, curriculum and syllabus design, materials development, assessment and testing, educational technology, and L2 teacher education. Sir, on behalf of the organizers and the participants, I extend a winsome welcome to you. Kindly enlighten us, to enable us to use apps in our teaching and learning from your vast experience of knowledge. My dear participants, let us listen to the resource person with keen interest and focused attention. Over to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you very much for inviting
Thank
me.
you, sir. You're most welcome. Yes.
Yeah, I see Professor Dr. Catherine, respected professor, organizers, audience, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, Namaskar, good morning. Yeah, today's presentation, my presentation topic is apps assisted English language learning. So, yeah, my audience is especially, my target audience is the learners. We are passing through a very bad time, crisis time, trying time. We are now maintaining social distance. So we have to make our learners owners of their own learning. We have to foster, we have to encourage individual and autonomous learning. And mobile apps tremendously help learners practice and learn the different skills and components of English autonomously, independently, as well as collaboratively. Let me share my slides. Excuse me, allow me to share my slides.
Sir, please carry on. Sir, please carry on. You are enabled now.
Thank you. This is my today's presentation topic, apps assisted English language learning. And you see here I have shown a smartphone, the internet, and the students, learners, they are using their smartphones, they are using different mobile apps and learning their target language. Goal of the presentation. The presentation entitled Apps Assisted English Language Learning focuses on effective mobile apps used to learn English language. The objective of today's webinar presentation, after the completion of the presentation, you will be fully aware of using 14 mobile apps to practice and learn English listening, speaking, reading, writing, vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar for your real-life communication. My today's presentation covers basically 4 major areas. Number 1, the English language skills and components, including listening, speaking, reading, writing, vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. Then smartphones. Then the internet connection and mobile apps. Let's try to have some ideas of apps-assisted English language learning. Apps-assisted English language learning it's the use of mobile apps or applications in English language learning individually as well as in collaboration. Learners can independently, autonomously use the apps to learn English language, or they can work with the peers or with the classmates in collaboration to practice and learn English language. It's always used online, so the net connection is here a must. In AAELL, Apps Assisted English Language Learning, learners can practice and learn English language autonomously. They can practice and learn English language in collaboration. They can practice and learn English language anytime, anywhere. And we all, I think, now is the time, now is the era of the internet. So we all have ideas and practice of the internet. Yet I'm just here trying to brush up our ideas. The internet is the global system of interconnected computer or mobile networks. It provides instant access to apps, software, and study resources. It provides instant access to dictionaries, grammar, and spelling checkers. It provides prepared lesson plans, PowerPoint slides, journals, calls for papers, information on higher education and job. It also provides professional organizations and networks, for example, LinkedIn. Now, let's try to have some ideas of the skills and components and of English language. English language has 4 basic skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Listening and reading are considered receptive skills because when we listen to speakers or when we read text, we receive information. On the other hand, speaking and writing are called productive skills because when we speak, we produce information. When we write, we convey information. English language has 3 major components: vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. Vocabulary includes what stock, the words a person has. What's the basic blocks of the different skills? Without vocabulary, we can't use any skill of the English language. And when we learn vocabulary, first we learn the spelling of words, then pronunciation, then usage. And for usage, we have to follow grammatical rules. In this way, English language has three major components: vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. Let's now start with the first skill, listening, what it means, and what apps can we can use to improve, practice, and improve our ability in listening to a speaker speaking in English. Before going to the apps, here I'm actually discussing two apps for every skill and every component. Before going to discuss the apps to be used to learn, practice and learn English listening skills, let's have some ideas of English listening. English listening involves the active selecting and interpreting of information coming from auditory clues so that a listener can identify what's happening and what's being expressed. That's listening includes hearing what speakers utter, receiving what speakers say, perceiving what information speakers convey, and responding to the information speakers communicate. Now the apps we can use to practice and improve English listening. Here I have discussed two apps. Number one, English listening practice app, and number two, Learn English by Conversation app. English listening practice app is an app developed for Android, specifically Android 6.0. It allows learners to improve their English listening skills quickly and systematically by practicing English every day, everywhere. The second tab, Learn English by Conversation. It helps users or learners improve their English listening, grammar, and speaking, but here my focus is on English listening. It offers listening to simple conversations from BBC Learning English, including 6-minute English, English at work, and the English we speak. The learners can browse the net, Google the apps, and can have ideas of the apps, number one. And number two, they can go to YouTube for tutorials how to use the apps. Moreover, they can take help from their trained teachers online so that they can effectively and efficiently use the apps to practice and learn English listening. The second skill, speaking. Let's first have some ideas of what speaking actually means. Speaking covers production of utterances to perform interactional and transactional functions. Yeah, interactional functions mean maintaining social role relationship, and the transactional functions mean transacting, exchanging information or ideas or messages. Then speaking is a productive skill. I already told you. It has purposes. It includes linguistic elements, including sounds. If we think phonetically, speaking includes sounds. If we think of speaking phonologically, it includes phonemes, then syllables, then morphemes, then words. In this way, discourse. And all the things are included in linguistic elements. Speaking encompasses body language or paralinguistic features, body movement. When we speak, we use different limbs of our body for communicating. For example, we use eye gaze or head nodding or showing fingers. Speaking is affected by voice qualities. Every person has his own voice quality. It's one thing. And the other things include, especially, particularly for English, English is a stress-timed language. So when a speaker speaks, she has to put stress on right syllables. She has to maintain chunking, appropriate rhythm, and she has to use intonation, because particularly in English language, intonation carries meaning. And we always speak in context. We can't speak in vacuum. Now let's have ideas of 2 apps we can use to practice and improve English language, English speaking skills. Number 1, Hello Talk app. And number 2, Filmslore app. There are many different apps for using to improve practice and improve speaking skills, but yeah, I'm actually discussing those apps which are number 1 available, number 2 mostly free, and some of the apps are slightly paid, but they are very cheap and user friendly. Okay, Hello Talk app allows a learner to talk in real time with people from all over the world. It includes video and audio calls, texting, translation tools, group chats, and a great search feature so that learners can find friends and they can practice speaking with their friends. The second one, Filmslore app, it offers on-the-go speaking practice that helps learners learn by answering questions and repeating vocabulary aloud. So it also helps practice and improve pronunciation. This app also has digital flashcards, role play challenges, and other games to help cement learners' knowledge. So these 2 apps are very much friendly and very much useful for English language learners to practice and improve their English speaking ability. And they can have tutorials on using these 2 apps on YouTube. Also, they can have advice or instructions from their trained teachers online, because now we are facing COVID-19. It's a very dangerous time. We have to maintain social distancing. That's why particularly mobile apps are this time very useful for learners to practice and learn the different skills and components of English language. Number 3 skill, reading. We already had some ideas of English reading. Let's have more ideas of the skill. It means interaction between the reader and the writer staged on the text. It means when we are reading, actually we are communicating with the text writer. It's a receptive skill, I already told you, because the reader extracts information from text. It involves looking at linguistic elements, including words, phrases, clauses, sentences, text, or connected sentences. It requires textual knowledge related to the text, as well as reader's background knowledge, including the reader's common sense or knowledge of the world. Now let's discuss the apps. I'm here discussing 2 apps to be used to practice and improve reading ability in English. Number 1, Bilingo app, and number 2, Duolingo app. Already respected moderator mentioned Duolingo app. The first one, Bilingo app, allows learners to follow along with the audiobook reader as the words are highlighted with the narration. It helps learners to read a story themselves and see it in both their own language, and own language I mean here their mother tongue and English on the same screen. As this app helps learners read aloud, read a story themselves aloud, they can here also practice their pronunciation. The second one, Duolingo app addresses basically three skills: reading, writing, and pronunciation. But here, my point is English reading. This app addresses the skills by challenging learners with a fun range of activities. So the learners find it very much enjoyable. They do two things simultaneously. They use the app for practicing and learning English reading, as well as they enjoy using the app. This app offers an unbeat experience, lets a learner join clubs for healthy practice, and really does make learning enjoyable. Here, I can give a tip that as usual, the learners can have YouTube tutorials on how to use these apps, and the learners can also have online suggestions from the teachers. And when the situation is okay, when the COVID-19 pandemic is over, they can have face-to-face interaction and with and instructions from their teachers. The last skill, I mean the fourth skill of English language, I'm meaning the fourth basic skill is writing. It's a productive skill. I already told you it. When we write something, we produce information for readers. It refers to producing text and discourse of varied genres, conveying information to intended readers. Here, genres basically mean we write paragraphs, we write different compositions, we write letters, we write memos, we write research papers, we write book reviews, we write different types of writing, and those are called different genres. Writing is both a process and a product. We express as well as impress. When we write, we follow a process, and following the process, we produce our final draft. For example, I'm writing a letter to my teacher. So I have to follow the process of writing the letter, because the letter has its own format, its own process. And then going through the process, I can have the product. I can have the final letters of my writing. Writing includes linguistic elements. I already discussed linguistic elements while I was discussing other skills. Linguistic elements here basically include words, phrases, clauses, sentences, connected sentences, making text. Writing embodies contextual support. When we speak in real life situations, physical situations, or physical context, but writing doesn't have any context like those we have in speaking. So the context in writing is created by cohesion and coherence. Cohesion and coherence are created by different components. Some are linguistic components and some are semantic components. Let's now have ideas of two apps we can use to practice and improve our writing skills, English writing skills. Number one, Grammarly app. It checks spelling mistakes. It highlights grammar mistakes and gives learners an explanation. It helps editing, proofreading, and finding plagiarism proof. And this is very important for learners of different levels. The second app, My Writing Lab. It helps learners become better writers through an online learning program of diagnostic tests, review materials, practice exercises, and writing assignments with an upbeat experience. This app lets learners join clubs for healthy practice and really does make learning enjoyable. And learners can have also tutorials, YouTube tutorials on how to use Grammar Lab and My Writing Lab for practicing and improving English writing skills. So far, I have discussed the basic skills of the English language: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And for each of the skills, I have here discussed two apps we can use, learners can use, and they can practice and improve their ability in English listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Now let's go to the English language components. I already mentioned them. Number one, vocabulary. A vocabulary is also called a word stock. It's a set of familiar words that a person has, a person possesses. So a vocabulary can be called a personal dictionary. Everybody, every learner of English, every teacher of English has their English vocabulary. It means all the words that a person, learner, knows and uses in communication. It's usually developed with age and practice. Here, especially for second or foreign language learners, here age doesn't mean the chronological age. Here, I think age means their practice age. Even an adult learner can be a beginner of English language. A vocabulary serves as a useful and fundamental tool for communication. If we leave vocabulary, we can't use English for communication. Now let's have ideas of two apps we can use for practicing and developing or broadening our English vocabulary. Number one, Babel app, and number two, Drops app. I already mentioned here I'm discussing the apps which are mostly free, but some of them are paid, but very cheap. Babel app uses bite-sized lessons, 10 to 15 minutes each, to help learners learn along with their busy schedule. Maybe a learner is taking food, eating, no problem, she can use it and practice vocabulary. A learner is playing with his friends or his brothers or sisters, she can use this app to practice and broaden his English vocabulary. It offers a program repeating vocabulary throughout each level. This app is a proven method that helps learners retain new words. Retaining new words is a very challenging job. For example, if today I memorize 20 English words, just after 12 or 24 hours, I'll be able to remember maximum 2-3 words. I will forget the remaining. But this app helps learners practice, memorize, and retain new words. The second one, Drops app, it helps learners learn new vocabulary through fun. So it's very much enjoyable. Fast-paced games with simple mnemonic images. This app uses a series of 5-minute exercises to drill new words, and it also helps retention of new words. And tutorials on how to use Babel app and Drops app are available on YouTube. Learners can have ideas of using these apps from the tutorials, and they can also have instructions from their teachers. The second component, pronunciation. It's very important for both speaking and listening. Pronunciation means the way in which we make the sound of words. We pronounce words, we push air from our lungs up through our throat and vocal cords, and through our mouth and nose, past our tongue and out between our teeth and lips. It means that, yeah, English pronunciation is based on different speech organs. According to Abercrombie in 1967, more than half of a human body is responsible for speech production in English. So specifically, we can say that when we are speaking, we use our tongue, we use our teeth, we use our lips, we use our jaw, we use our upper alveolar ridge, hard palate, soft palate, larynx, pharynx, glottis, nose. These are the major speech organs or articulators we use to produce speech in English speech. And here we have to use air, and air comes out of our lungs. So lungs are very important for pronunciation, for speech production. And now we are in, I already mentioned at the onset of my presentation, we are going through a difficult time. We are facing coronavirus, I mean COVID-19 pandemic across the globe. So we have to save our lungs. Our lungs are important, essential for our life as well as for speech production. Now let's discuss two apps which learners we can use to practice and improve our English pronunciation ability. Number one, Sound Pronunciation app, and number two, Learn English Sounds Right app. Sound Pronunciation app offers 3 different practice modes: listening, writing, and reading. But here, our point is listening. It includes a carefully selected word list with over 650 high-frequency words used in the practice and quiz sections. It has a chart showing the English sounds divided into 3 sections: monophthongs, diphthongs, and consonants. Here, monophthongs mean simple vowels. Diphthongs mean, we can say, compound vowels. Diphthong is constituted of 2 simple vowels and consonants. English language has 12 monophthongs, 8 diphthongs, and 24 consonant phonemes. The second app, Learn English Sounds Right app. It helps develop learners' pronunciation and speaking skills. It allows learners to learn English sounds by listening to recordings of each sound. Yeah, I already mentioned 12 plus 8 plus 24. In total, English language has 44 phonemes or sound units or sound sets. And Learn English Sounds Right app allows learners to learn the sounds by listening to recordings. It helps improve learners' overall comprehension by listening to sample words in context. And the learners can have tutorials on using the two apps, Sound Pronunciation app and Learn English Sounds app on YouTube. And I'm sure the teachers are always ready to extend their help to learners. So learners can have help or instructions from their teachers. And the final component of English language, the third component, grammar. Grammar is very important. Though there is a debate, some people say grammar shouldn't be taught or learned. And some others say grammar should be taught and learned. And actually, as research shows, most experts support grammar. And I think we shouldn't question the teaching or learning grammar. We should think of how to teach and how to learn English grammar. English grammar is the key way in which meanings are encoded into wordings in the English language. This includes the structure of words, phrases, clauses, and sentences, right up to the structure of whole texts. That's grammar deals with the rules and norms in English language for performing two jobs. Number one, changing the form of words, and number two, joining words into sentences. Now let's have ideas of two apps we, as well as learners, can use to practice and improve their English grammatical ability, grammatical skills. Number one, Learn English Grammar app, and number two, Grammaropolis app. The first one helps improve English grammar accuracy. It offers 1,000 plus questions to help practice and reinforce learners' English grammar. It has two versions, American English version and British English version, because British English and American English are at least slightly different from each other in point of pronunciation, spelling, and usage. So learners can choose their own version. If the learner is interested to learn British English, she should choose the British version. If the learner is interested to learn American English, she can choose the American version. The second one, Grammaropolis app. This app uses the same idea, engaging kids as well as young learners with fun characters, songs, videos to teach a concept. It covers the parts of speech with depth and complexity. Traditionally, English language has 8 parts of speech, and Grammaropolis app covers all the 8 parts of speech. It stimulates a fun city populated with zany characters embodying each of the 8 parts of speech. So this app is very much enjoyable, and learners tremendously enjoy. Grammar is actually very difficult and I think useless component of English grammar, and many learners have phobia for English grammar. They don't like English grammar, and the teachers, or sometimes many teachers don't enjoy teaching English grammar. But if learners use this app, they will enjoy learning English grammar through fun. And YouTube tutorials are available for having ideas of how to use the apps for improving English grammar, for practicing and learning English grammar. And I hope the teachers are always ready to extend their help to learners. So learners should always consult the teachers now online, and when the situation improves, face-to-face as well as online. Here, I mean in a blended learning mode. And that's all about my presentation. In my presentation, I covered 4 basic skills of English language and 3 components, major components of English language. And I discussed 2 learning apps for each of the skills and components of English language. And I do hope if learners use the apps to practice and improve their ability in English language skills and components, that will gradually improve their skills, their English language skills, their ability of using English for real life communication. Thank you. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, audience.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. And it was quite wonderful listening to you about the 4 skills, the vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. To learn them, you have introduced to 14 mobile apps. And as you rightly pointed out, COVID-19 has not only necessitated social distancing, but also to learn the 4 skills and the 3 components that you have mentioned through various mobile apps. You have certainly given us more knowledge. Before I would like to formally thank you. You said that some of the apps here are free and some of them are paid. Could you please help us how to use Bilingual app? How to use Bilingual app in refining our skill? I think it was meant for reading skill, sir. So was it meant for reading skill?
Right, but here I can show you because as we are now communicating on Zoom platform, I can't show you that because first I have to install it.
Okay, fine.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
and
Yes,
then I have to
sir.
use it. All right, and this app is very much friendly. And when I install it on my mobile, it gives instructions to use it. All right, and if I follow the instructions or directions step by step, I will be able to use it. And also there are a lot of tutorials on YouTube on how to use the app.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think I have clarified the point.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Regarding this Grammar of Police app,
right?
I would like to know more about it. Will you please give us some more information about it?
Yeah. Grammar of Police, it uses the same idea or concept. It's basically designed for very young learners, kids. But we see that if we think of our Bangladesh context, some adults become beginners of English language learning. All right, some adults become kids in English language learning. And this app uses the same idea or same point or same concept for engaging learners with fun characters, songs, and videos to teach the concept. Okay, and here there is a city in this app. There is a city. The city is full of populated with some strange but amusing characters. Okay, and the characters are playing the roles of the 8 parts of speech, including nouns, noun, pronoun, adjective, verb, adverb, conjunction, preposition, and interjection. Okay, so through the interaction of the people in the city, they give practice to the learners on all the 8 parts of speech. And if Lana uses this app, she can enjoy the lesson, number 1, and number 2, practice and learn the 8 parts of speech of English language. And actually, the 8 parts of speech, traditionally, the 8 parts of speech of English language are the basic components of English grammar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So my last question would be, will you please suggest an app for the tertiary level students, for the college level students?
For which skill? Because we have apps for, we have apps for specific skills. For example, grammar is used only for grammar.
Okay, fine. Yes. For example, speaking skills, sir. Speaking skill.
Let me go to the slide, relevant slide.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I already discussed 2 apps. Hello Talk app. Hello Talk app.
Yes.
It's very much interesting. It's very much useful, very much effective, because number 1, it allows learners to talk in real life with people from all over the world. Even learners can talk with the people of the UK or the USA or Australia or India or Bangladesh. All right.
Yes,
and it includes this app includes video and audio calls, texting, and many chatting, etc. And on this app, using this app, learners can also make friends with the people of other countries or with the people of other cities, and they can communicate with them, they can speak with them, and through speaking, we know without practice we can't improve our language skills. So when we using this app, learners can have friends, can make friends, they can communicate, interact with the friends, they can speak with the friends and improve their speaking ability. I think I have responded to your question.
Yes, sir. Fine, sir.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Have you got more questions?
Right now, I have no questions from the participants. They have not sent me very much. Maybe it's time for the formal vote of thanks.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay.
It was a wonderful experience listening to you, Dr. Muhammad Maniruzzaman. You have thrown much light on at least 14 mobile apps that could be used to master 4 skills, to acquire vocabulary, to refine pronunciation, and to be accurate in grammar. In the name of the erudite organizers, the eager resource persons in waiting, active staff members of the collaborating institutions, and the several participants, I offer a heartfelt thanks, dear sir, for being available, for the extensive preparation, and for delivering the lecture with the slides which have imprinted your ideas in our minds and also created an interest to make use of these apps in our day-to-day learning and teaching. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I am very much inspired by your nice words. And my thanks must go to the organizers, especially Tiruvallur University Authority and the authorities of the 3 esteemed colleges. I especially thank Dr. Catherine for inviting me. I really feel very much honored to have been invited to this learned platform. Yeah, I have met a lot of scholars from different parts of India and other countries. I'm really very much honored, and I much thank the technical team here, the people included in the technical team, and they have helped us make this thing happen. Without them, it wasn't possible to give my presentation. And finally,
Rightly said.
Yes. I would like to thank the audience,
Yes.
especially, particularly the persons who asked me three very important and important questions, and
Questions, yes, sir.
yeah, important questions. And I much thank you all. I wish you all the very best, and I wish the International Web Conference a very big success. All the best again. Assalamu alaikum. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Namaskar. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. You were very practical and very much basic. Thank you very much, sir. Okay.
Thank you, sir. It was so very good. The way you moderated was excellent, very fine. So we have the third session, which starts at 2 o'clock this afternoon. We are going to listen to Dr. Yasmin Sultana from Zambia, and she's going to talk to us on learning to learn. So we shall meet again. It was wonderful this morning having you all on board. See you again this afternoon at 2 o'clock. God bless everyone. Bye.
Hello? Is it audible? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, can we give the reminders to the participants? The reminders which is said already.
Okay. Fine, sir. We can remind, definitely we can remind.
Yeah, maybe I can read. I have the sheet with me.
Yeah, please go ahead, sir.
And this is a reminders to the participants, please. When we use Zoom, a maximum of 100 participants only can be accommodated in the chat room. So we work on a first come, first served basis. Once the Zoom chat room reaches its full capacity, others could get connected to the YouTube live channel. Even those attending the session via YouTube live channel will get their attendance as we are monitoring it. Those paper presenters who are attending the third session from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. may leave the plenary session at 2:55 p.m. and join the paper presentation session. You may also leave earlier than that to join the paper presentation session. There is no hard and fast rule that you should join the paper presentation session before 20 minutes. Do not get discouraged when you are unable to enter a particular paper presentation room. It could be because too many people may be trying to enter the same room at the same time. So keep trying. From our side, we are more than happy to allow any number of participants as audience into the paper presentation rooms. The link to the feedback form will be shared with you after 4 p.m. Please remember, the link will be shared only after 4 p.m. and it will be available both on YouTube live channel as well as in Telegram. You will be given ample time to fill in and submit the feedback form. For your kind information, we have stopped accepting new papers for submission and presentation. However, if people would like to join us, only participants can register still. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Shall we close the meeting?
Yes, sir, we can.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good. Wonderful, sir.